Welcome to today's episode of Living Real TV. I am Clara Capano.
And I'm Karissa Adkins.
And we are here to help you boss up and gain clarity in all aspects of your life. Yes. So Karissa, welcome. How are you feeling today?
I'm feeling good. Yeah, I'm feeling good today. Feeling energized. And I feel like I'm kind of like woken up. My flight last night was fantastic.
Good.
So yeah, doing
I
good.
love it.
How about you?
I am feeling pumped up because this episode is going to be all about really tapping into our superpowers.
Yes.
And what makes us really tick inside so that we can really achieve that level of greatness. So I'm really excited to have our guest come in, our expert, talk with us about how to gain authority and confidence and own the room, whatever room we are in. And I think, before we dive into this amazing conversation, we got to have a cocktail to, celebrate. So Dion, welcome.
Well, ladies, thanks for having me on the show. I wanted to tell you something. I have something I need to confess. I have a superpower.
You do? Yes.
It's been a secret for a very long time, but
Not
my
anymore.
superpower is pouring booze in a glass and making it look good.
It is a very important superpower.
Very important.
You're killing it.
He gives people confidence and gives them wings to fly.
Yeah.
So today we're going to be doing a white Negroni. It is a twist on an old classic. It's gin Campari, and it's usually sweet vermouth, but I like to use a Blanco vermouth to kind of soften it up and give it a little bit more approachability, which, a regular Negroni, if you're drinking it and you're not, a hardcore classics lover, you'll be like, whoa, that is really strong. So we're just gonna soften it up, even it out a little bit. Now this is, all three parts are equal. So usually it's 1, 1, and 1. Mm-hmm. Since I'm making 3 cocktails, I'm gonna make them all together in 1 glass.
Gotcha. And what
We're
was
gonna
it called
start
again?
A white Negroni.
Okay. White.
So we're gonna start out with our Alania Bianco vermouth. This actually by itself with some soda is wonderful. Very easygoing, easy to drink. The James Bond cocktail, shaken, not stirred.
Yeah.
Instead of using Lilith Blanc, sometimes I like to use Bianco because it just works out.
Okay. So if we're feeling a little 007-ish,
Oh,
it's a good
definitely
go-to.
the way to go.
Okay.
Now the rock star of this cocktail is Campari, which is the counterpart of Aperol, which I believe a few shows ago we did an Aperol spritz.
Oh, yes,
So
yes.
this is a lot like Aperol, only stronger. This one lifted weights before it.
Boom. Yeah. I love being strong. This cocktail may bring out the superpower.
It might be, yeah.
So I will say my last Negroni competition, I actually did this cocktail, and there was some things that happened after that I was like, we're adults, right? Are we still considered adults?
And you guys, just a reminder, if you are watching every episode on Living Real, we do a cocktail. So if you're brand new to the show, welcome to watching us. But yeah, we've been having Dion on the show since Jump Street, right? Since season 1. Every single episode is loaded with a yummy, delicious cocktail. We could personally talk about how yummy they are. And our guests could tell you the same thing, but you guys can get all the recipes on our website, livingrealtv.com. So go check them out.
And you guys can follow me on cocktailcouch.com.
Yes.
Very good.
Because you're probably up there and showing different cocktails or making them, or because you guys can hire out
Always.
Dion. He travels. He goes anywhere that you have a VIP client party. He can come create like a signature cocktail for your event. It just really elevates.
It really does. And it makes it fun
event. Yeah.
and use.
And people feel like rock stars.
They
when
do.
it's like, oh, you have a VIP like
do.
this crafter who's going to craft us up some amazing So you guys go follow Dion. He's fantastic. What is your handle, Dion?
My handle on Instagram is the Dion Bass.
Okay.
I am just Dion Bass on Facebook and on YouTube and Online, it's cocktailcouch.com.
Cocktail couch.
I know, it's great.
Love it.
Well, I called it that because I was like, I'm always in somebody else's house other than mine. And so I'm like, I'm going from my couch to yours. So we're just going to have a cocktail couch wherever we go. And these are our white Negronis. Now, instead of garnishing them with an orange, I garnished them with a lemon because I want it to be lighter. I want it to represent that it's lighter. It's not your traditional Negroni, but it is delicious. Yeah. And thank you, ladies.
Thank you, Dion. Well, I just want to say cheers to collaboration. Cheers to bringing Renee on. I can't wait to let her introduce herself to our amazing audience. Yeah. So cheers, ladies.
Cheers.
And I love the looks of this drink. It almost has like wings on its own to help it fly.
Oh, that is packed.
Woo!
Yes, Dion.
I'm awake.
Whoa, we're awake now. Nice.
So, and this is the lighter, softer, more feminine side. What was James Bond drinking?
I will tell you though, this would be an amazing signature drink because it makes a statement, in how it looks, in the color, the vibrance of it. But again, I mean, it packs a punch and in a good way.
Finish.
It's got a nice finish. So.
Oh my God, no, tell her, okay, season 1, episode 1. Do you remember the berries? I'm talking about the berries.
Yeah.
He gives us our beautiful drink and we're so excited. Episode 1, we're all like giddy and nervous because it's our first time. And, and our drink came with like a few, I forget what kind of berries they were. But he said, I want you to take a drink and then eat the berry. And we're like, okay, we're going to do it. We follow instructions really well.
After we eat the berries, he then informs us, and it might make your tongue a little bit numb. And we're just like, and then all of a sudden,
the saliva's producing. We're like, I'm like, Dion, this would have been really good to know. And then it went away, but I was like, oh my, what was it? He said back in the day, right? Because there's history with everything. It's like back in the day, wasn't it like a pain medication?
I think so, yeah.
Like if you had a toothache or something like that.
Oh, so it numbed it.
Something, yeah. It numbed our mouth for just a hot minute.
Hilarious.
I was like, why would you do this on the first show?
Why am I drooling?
Exactly.
Wiping our
Oh
faces.
my gosh.
Oh, the stories we have.
I know.
And this will be one of them, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
On season 10, we'll
One
be
of
talking
them.
about this one.
Yeah, so before we start diving in, and again, we have the amazing Renee Dominguez with us, coming in from San Diego, and we're going to be talking about elevating our level of confidence and tapping into our superpowers. But before we do that, I want to dive into our question of the day. One of the things we always talk about is growth and sort of what makes us who we are. So I would love to ask, is there a certain book or song or TV show or something that you can go back and you can remember this was something that really impacted my life? It was a turning point. So
yes, well, I have several. First one is The Untethered Soul. So it's more for the soul and the spirit.
Okay.
For me, being a badass, it's How to Be a Badass by Jen Sincero, the book. I love the audiobook because she narrates it. And to tap into my superpower, I tap into Stevie Nicks.
I love that. You gonna do the twirl for us?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Fantastic. That's great. What about you?
I love that. Well, I know we talk a lot about books, so I'll just stick to the song today. Every single morning for the last 4 years, maybe, however long the song's been out, but it's Rise by Katy Perry. But every day on the way to the gym or in the gym, that is a part of my playlist, my badass playlist. And yes, it's kind of slow, right? But it will literally make me cry some days. It will literally, like I hear it before I go on stage, before a big event. It's like the music that you put on. But it's like, I will not just survive. I'm going to thrive. I will rise up, like watch me go, So yeah, like most people would see my playlist. It goes like Rise, Katy Perry, and then straight into the Hustle Standard. Like, and it's like blah, 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 if I'm lifting. But I'm like, hey, I'm doing me, right?
Yeah.
But I love that song. God, it lights my soul on fire.
Good.
Yeah.
Awesome. So for me, books have always been a big part of it, but not from a business book perspective. But I remember one of the very first novels that impacted me. It was called Where the Red Fern Grows. And I read it in junior high. But that really started my love of reading. And it was from there that I really was like on the path of, I want to read, a book a month. And I think that has really unlocked me there. So that's always has a big place in my heart.
Where
and
the
then
red fern
Where the
grows.
Red Fern
Isn't
Grows.
that like a high school requirement?
Yeah, I think it's junior high, or I
Yep.
don't know. It was fantastic. And then I would say, a song that for me, I Will Survive, Gloria Gaynor. I remember going through my divorce, and that was sort of my theme song. And whenever I'm kind of questioning myself, it's like, nope, I'm going to rise up and do it. So
And you did.
I did, and I'm still doing it.
And over and over.
Yeah.
Yes.
So let's start diving into this idea of, again, empowering ourselves and tapping into confidence. And Renee, what I would love to do is have you talk a little bit about your background.
Yes.
And what was it that allowed you to not just understand for yourself, but what is your journey to, being the empowerment expert that you are today?
Yes. Well, thank you for that introduction. I'm so excited to be here with these ladies and with you all. So my background is, from the outside looking in, I was a success. I hit all the check boxes. I went to the right schools, had the right degrees, worked at the right places, had the right titles, had the money coming in. But what people didn't know is I was a hot mess inside.
Yeah.
I gave myself ulcers because I had anxiety of the stress of my role. I was a woman in a very male-dominant industry. I was always the only woman in the room. And I had felt like I had to outwork everybody to justify my place in the room.
I think a lot of women feel
gosh,
like that.
definitely.
I know, we're sitting with like-minded. There's a reason why you're here.
Yes.
We don't typically interview, women who are like, I'm cold, being mediocre. Like, that's just like, it's so many women relate to that. Like, I've got to out hustle the man.
Yeah. And I did it even not just from a male perspective, but when I entered into, my career, I was young and I felt I had to outwork to prove that I was worthy of being there because I was in my 20s.
We don't know any better. And there was no one talking to us. There was no one ever in my life, in my career, saying, Renee, you don't have to do this alone. You don't have to do it this way. You don't have to outwork. That's a story you made up in your head.
Yeah.
There was nobody talking to me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I
my
didn't
boss
know.
never said, Karissa, I expect you to put in more hours than any of the people here today. That was something that I was like, oh.
Yep.
And I wasn't there to prove to them. I felt that I had to prove something to myself. I don't even know why.
Like, yeah, I felt like I had to prove my I earned to be here. I'm validated.
Yeah.
But it was a hot mess. And I share with people, I failed my way up to success.
Yeah.
The
the only way to
universe
do it,
definitely was on my side to make sure I was never complacent. And if I ever got too comfortable, it would knock me off and say, Renee, it's time to level up.
Yeah.
But we don't see it that way. We feel like, oh my gosh, I'm failing. Why me?
I know. Can you think of, something, because I would agree, and I think we've all, had that moment. What would you say is something that you failed at that ended up being one of the best gifts?
Oh my gosh, well, that's my whole career. So let me think of one.
Okay.
But the first one that I can really recall is I was fired from a job that I had for 6 years because my boss wanted a male to get that role that I should have got promoted into.
Wow.
And in California, it's at will, so they don't really need a great valid explanation. It's just like, oh, it's not working out.
Right.
Bye, Felicia.
So, but that situation allowed me to go to school and go back, and I was someone who also wasn't, I didn't have a college degree, and yet I was in roles that it was expected for you to have a degree. So I always felt like I had to be under the radar. I had to play small and outwork everybody.
Yeah.
That's a lot of work. That's a lot of energy.
It is.
But I was able to go back to school. But that incident, I felt like I failed. Like, oh my gosh, like, was I not enough that my boss wanted a male over me?
Yeah.
I mean, that hits your self-esteem. That hits your confidence.
It's your gut, man.
Yeah, it
Come
really
on now.
does.
It's your identity.
Yeah.
But that allowed me to go to school, and then I'm like, oh, let me see what else I can get away with. They don't know who I am. They let me go into college.
Yes.
Let me see what other colleges I can get into under the radar.
I am curious, Claire, what about you? Because that's a really great question. Because a lot of women look at us, powerhouse babes, confident women at the end of the day, alphas. We're very confident in ourselves. They don't think that we come with setbacks. They don't even see challenges. Well, her life looks amazing.
Yeah.
It just must all fall into place. So I think that's
She's
let's
the
just
lucky
say-
one.
Yeah. Oh, it always works out for that one.
Yeah.
No, so like it doesn't, right? Like reality is, you guys, it doesn't. We put our pants on the same way as every other one.
Yeah.
So what? Can you remember a point in time where you failed and you kind of?
Yeah, again,
define
like
your-
there's so many things. I remember I wanted to go to graduate school, and I had applied to a program, and I was not accepted, and being completely devastated. And because I was very academic, and I had thought this was going to be the ticket. And by not getting into that program, I then actually shifted, and I went into another program that actually was a better program. It was all about, it was at it was in the women's college at Denver University, and it was all about organizational leadership and communication, which was going to be a better fit. But I never would have even looked
got
for the
that
program.
degree.
Yeah, yeah, but I never would have even looked for that program if I would have gone into the first one. And so, yeah. So.
Isn't that funny?
I love that you shared that, because that's why I got that degree, because I'm like, there's no one in the organization teaching us how to be leaders as powerful women.
So true.
The men, they're alphas, they feed off each other, they empower each other by that. But with women, it's like, if you get that promotion, you get that role, you took that away from me. So I'm going to do what I can to bring you down, because that's mine.
Yeah.
So I got into organizational leadership in business, because I'm like, it has to be different. And if someone else is not doing it, I guess it will be me.
I'm gonna pave
I
the way.
appointed myself.
Yep, exactly, definitely.
That's too good.
What would you say is your big failure point?
Big defining moment was, I was 15 and I decided to keep my son. So I was pregnant, sophomore in high school, unheard of at the time, because back then it's definitely not cool to be pregnant. My church kind of shunned me away. They were embarrassed to have, a young mom in there. And for 7 months, the idea was, I'm going to have this child and I'm going to give this child away, right? Because my mom was adopted. I knew she came from great loving parents. So I was like, okay, that's, and everyone, right? Like, you're young, you're 15, you can't do this. Like, you have dreams and goals. So all this stuff, but I remember it was about 8 months, and I was like, I love this baby. I'm like, is this the right move? Who freaking knows? But I decided to keep my son and raise my son, and I love it. I love being a young mom. I love having energy. I love having a 21-year-old that we're 15 years apart, which is crazy.
They probably think your brother and sister.
Yeah. I mean, even my daughter, gosh, they even think, you show up to the softball games, you're like, you brought your sister. And I'm like, oh, thank you.
I know, right?
But also, I think it shaped you as far as you had to grow up. You had to be,
Oh,
exactly.
my
You had
God.
to really take control and, do that. So I think it shaped a lot of
And
who you became.
don't regret it. So besides the energy factor and the youngness and the relatableness, and but it did. Like 16, I moved out, not because I had to, not that I didn't have a supporting, mom at home, but I had 2 other younger brothers that I was like, these are bad influences on my kid. I don't want my son around that. So to pay your first bill, to have an apartment, to learn what it's like to go stand in a line and apply for WIC checks and welfare because you need it. I worked full-time and went to school full-time. I quit high school thinking that was the right option. And then my heart was like, you better go back, because you at least you don't want to be a statistic. So it was a very defining moment for me. And I would never, and some people would think, 15, pregnant, what a failure. And I'm like, man, that was the best thing. And I would tell you, before I got pregnant, I was doing drugs, I was stealing cars, I was in and out of, homes, because of my anger issues. So the path that I was on, I was going down the statistic road, right? Whether I had a kid or not, but he saved my life multiple times. He's been the reason to keep going, keep chugging along. So that's just, one defining moment that I was
incredible.
like, I think I want to keep this kid, Mom. And
Yeah.
she's like, okay, I'll support you.
But it's, and all of these stories are so great, because I think going back to what you said is you failed your way to success. And I think so many times as women, we beat ourselves up. We get through to the end of the day and we're like, what didn't I get done today? We're setting ourselves up with these messages of, what did I fail at? before asking, what did I win at? You know, what are the good things that are happening? What am I learning? How am I growing? Because there are no failures if we take them in and go forward with them.
Failure, it comes with like the word budget. It comes with such a negative
Discipline.
Yeah.
Ugh.
I'm like, actually, failure is really great
Yeah.
when you can see it as a learning opportunity.
And that's what I call it now. I don't even call it failure anymore because it has a connotation
Yeah.
to it. It has an energy behind it, and our body responds
It
to
does.
it, right? So I love that you just said it, they're learning lessons.
I mean, if you're not learning from the same lesson,
Well,
then
that's
you're
all.
issue.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, then it keeps like the
Yes.
universe keeps like, oh, I'm gonna like put this in your face a little bit more, right?
Right.
But I want to just share something I never shared with anybody, and I don't share publicly, so it's gonna be a little woo for
Yeah.
me. But I was a high school statistic. I did get pregnant at 17. I ended up being homeless because my dad could not accept it. I had to get on welfare. I didn't know what
Yeah.
welfare was.
Yeah.
And when I got into corporate, I created this identity, and I didn't want people to know the real me.
Yeah.
Who thought she was a failure.
Yeah.
And
You
I
never stood
wasn't.
together. You weren't.
But there was nobody telling me that I wasn't. So I
Yeah.
grew up thinking I had to prove myself because there was no one validating me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
This
Thank
is
you. I know.
Thank
you
And I
for sharing
share
that.
because people
Courage.
see me a certain way. The powerhouse, the boss babe, who bosses up, who has it together, who figures it all out.
Yeah.
They don't know that little girl who was scared and alone.
Yeah,
They don't.
They really
and
don't.
everyone has a story. You know, what you see is not where we came from, and what you see is not where I'm going to be in 5
Exactly.
years or 10 years. That's the beautiful
Yeah,
part
and I
about
think
life.
again, one of my favorite quotes is that your past should be a place of reference, not residency. And I think again, you know, I think we try, and I know I've done it at times too, is to sort of hide things and create this new persona. But at some point in time, that's no longer going to work for you. Because you're not in alignment. And when I finally started to sort of shed that identity and, you know, be more of myself, be a little bit more playful, a little bit more silly, it was amazing the connections I had and how that really allowed me to grow so much more.
But it takes a while to get
Takes a
there.
while
You have
to
to
get
like
there.
find that.
You got to find it, yeah.
Yeah.
And feel safe enough to go through it.
Yeah, because of vulnerability.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just one more note on the failures and kind of reframing it is when I was early on in my career, I was on a real estate team. And one of the things that we did every week is we had to go around the table and had to share what our golden moment was from the prior week, which basically was, what did I screw up on last week and what did I learn so I don't do it again? But, you know, it again made us not fear failure. We're like, everything can be fixable. You know, it's, let's face it, let's learn
But that's
from
a
it.
good leader that you had
a
to
good leader.
emulate that.
Yeah.
Most people are not like that.
And that's why I wanted to bring
They're
it
like,
up.
how did that happen? What did you do? I told you what to do.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
Instead of shame on you, you screwed up. Because we've all had those leaders that make you feel bad.
Right.
Now you've got to hide stuff. You can't even be like real with your sales numbers.
You're
like,
afraid to make a decision.
Yes. Yes.
and that's what it does. And
it
I mean,
shakes you to
she
the core.
did. She was extremely demanding, which was great because it helped drive all of us. But she was also very forgiving in that aspect. And she would oftentimes come back and say, you know what? I did that too. And, you know, make us feel like, and by having her included in the circle and by seeing that other people made mistakes, and again, it really created and fostered an environment of risk, of trying, of putting ourselves out there, which I think definitely is a sign of a great leader.
And putting yourself out there takes balls, takes confidence, takes being real with yourself, takes being real with, you know, being like the trusting process that I will be okay if I say this. Like you just felt obviously trusted here in this circle. And it's out in the world now. National TV. No, and there's something when you're in a room full of badass, like where we're sharing our stories, and it's like, oh, okay, I'm going to share a little bit more. Like that's the power of what we do when we can support women instead of put them down. So with that, oh my gosh, we are having such hot topics. Maybe it's the drinks. Maybe Dion was like,
There's
"Be
the
careful."
truth serum coming out. I know.
In New Mexico, there's a place called Truth or Consequences. And I'm like, I kind of want to go, but I'm kind of like intimidated by a town called Truth or Consequences.
It's like truth or
It's
dare.
like
huh? I
super
know.
spirit, you know, like that land is spiritual. So yeah, well, when we come back, I think we should dive into confidence and how we can tap into that and how we can use that confidence, you know, and our energy to what you like to call own the room, you know, and just be your badass self.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's where we'll stop right now in this moment, and then we'll come back with some really great strategies all about confidence and authenticity and superpowers and owning a room.
Yes.
So with that, you guys, we will take a quick break. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.
And get healthy so that they can truly show up and thrive in the world. We help women lose weight, gain energy, and feel sexy and confident in their bodies. We help women create sustainable habits that support a positive mindset, nutrition, exercise plans, stress relief, and of course, self-care. If you're tired of feeling like a failure when it comes to your weight loss and health goals, please visit our website at 365dailyhustle.com or join the Healthy Hustle Facebook community today for healthy tips, recipes, workouts, and more.
Welcome back. We are continuing the conversation with Renee, where we're going to start diving into what it really means to build our confidence and our superpowers. And Renee, one of the things I know that you kind of say in your tagline is you are all about helping women know and stand up to claim their spot at the table.
Yeah, know your worth and own it.
Yeah, so dive into that. Tell us a little bit about that message and you know, where you kind of have cultivated that and what you want to do with that message for women.
Yes, absolutely. Great question. So part of my background when I did get educated was negotiations and really knowing how to negotiate your worth as a woman.
And what's the difference?
So a man will go into a negotiation and he will like, I want 20% more and I want this and I want this and I want that, and it's non-negotiable. A woman gets her offer letter, okay, yes, thank you. And she doesn't know her worth. She just feels like, oh, I'm just thankful I got an offer letter. I'm just thankful I got my 3% raise. I'm just thankful I got a promotion without a raise.
So we don't tend to be proactive in asking for things. We just sort of accept.
We accept whatever's given to us and then complain.
Yeah.
Because we don't know.
And then resent, and then have anger.
Yes. And then as business women, entrepreneurs, it's like, I don't raise my rates because I don't want to lose my clients. But yet we're evolving and we're growing and we have so much more to bring to the table. But we're like, but I'm still going to play small because I don't want to upset anybody. But I can barely pay my bills.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
I know. Why do you think we do that?
A lot of it is just not enough women, not enough of us. Hence why we're here. We need to spread the word. Well, women can empower themselves. They can be powerful. They can negotiate. They can raise their prices. People will follow because they follow us. They're not following our price tag.
I also think women can get, you know, they need permission to invest in themselves. Because I used to just, when I started coaching, I bring a lot of male energetic superpower, right? I get shit done, right? Like a man. That's why I was like, I don't know the difference. When I asked my boss for the first raise, I was like, this is what I want in order for me to stay. And these are the reasons why I deserve that. Like, you know, because I know guys, like, their numbers. And I was like, I've raised our sales. Like, you can't lie with numbers. And guys are very like, oh, okay, she's right. Yeah. So I went in with that sense. So I can't relate to that. But in my first year of coaching, I pretty much just coached males. As crazy as that is, right? In the health and wellness industry, I was just working with males. And the difference between having a sales call with a male and a sales call with a woman is the male, after you give them the price, they're like, cool, here's my card. Or I'll have my assistant send you, a check. A woman gets on, I need to go talk to my husband. I need to clear this. This is a lot of money. And I'm like, it's not about
the special. Can you work with me?
Am I paying full? Can I, like, they want something, but they want the permission from they want validated from else, from a man most of the time. Let me talk to my partner. I'm like, can you think for yourself? Does this feel good in your heart? Because I'm not selling you anything. I'm going to help you have this transformation. This is the outcome you want. I can deliver that.
That's a mindset.
It is. It is.
They're seeing it as debt, not as an investment.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
so Renee, I know that you are a best-selling author.
Yes,
Tell
I
us,
am.
tell us a little bit about your book. What is the name, and what are some of the things?
Yes.
Because again, I want to hear more about this idea of owning and knowing your superpower.
Yes, thank you. It's an Amazon best-selling book, 9 Power Hacks to Live Your Most Successful Life.
I love that name.
Thank
9
you.
Power Hacks.
Yes, and I really originally created it for my clients.
Okay.
And it was a framework, and a publisher saw it, and she's like, oh, is this a book you're going to release? I'm like, no, it's just something I'm giving away. They're like, hold the process. No, this needs to be sold. It's so good. And then they asked me, who wrote it? I'm like, I wrote it. Who designed it? I designed it.
Yeah.
And they're like, this is like really good. Like there was very
it's a
minor
gold mine.
edits. Yeah, there were like very minor edits that needed to be done. None of the graphics were touched. They were perfect as is. I was like, okay. And it's been so transformational because we have these books. Like I recommend, or I said, Jensen Sarah, How to Be a Badass. But this book is telling you exactly, there's 9 different areas in the book. So let's say it's my self-care, which would be like your zone of genius, right? Self-care and health. Well, where are you at right now? Where do you want to go? Here's a worksheet that's going to walk you through with examples on how to fill in those gaps. What do you want your next steps to be? And then there you go.
Yeah.
So it's almost like a guidebook where
Yes.
it talks with them about the theory behind it, why we need to do this, why you're programmed this way, but then it also has the call to action that gives them the strategies and to put it into play.
Yeah.
You're
That's
like,
great.
stop reading right now,
And
do
do
the
this.
activities,
Yeah.
fill
Yeah.
in the blanks,
Yeah.
like do the work,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
then come back to the next chapter.
Yes.
I love
Yes.
this kind of book.
I know. So tell me about this idea of zone of genius and superpower. How do you know, how do you learn what it is, and then how do you tap into that to allow you to be stronger?
Yeah. I always, going back to vulnerability, ladies, thank you very much for taking me there. We're going there.
Anytime.
We're there. It was the drinks. I grew up thinking God missed me when it came to appointing talents and skills.
Oh, that breaks my heart.
It broke my heart. I really
Yeah.
believed that because I didn't know. No, my parents didn't tell me like, this is your skill. This is what you're good at.
I grew up the same way, and it wasn't that, again, anyone put it on me but me. And I was like, okay, my sister Lisa is the artist. Paul is more of the salesperson. He's, the party guy. Amy's the sweet one, the cheerleader. And I'm like, okay, what am I? What am I?
Yeah.
So I went into academics because that was the one area that I felt I needed to own.
Yes, mine was like, I'm going to be that business person because I'm going to show everybody who did not believe in me. I'm going to create my own skill.
Yeah.
But it was what I did not know is God had a bigger plan. And he's like, your skill is going to be developed because it's going to be universal and it's going to be transformational. But you have to develop it. You have to go through it. You're not going to be gifted and born with it. You're going to have to go through the pain and the suffering and being that caterpillar that turns into a butterfly time and time and time again. But it was also, it's our community. We can't see our blind spots. I couldn't see my skills and my superpowers. It was other people telling me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Definitely.
I believe that. I was sitting in a restaurant one time and I was, networking with a gal and she was like, Karissa, I think God created you to go through all the muck so that you could come out on top, so that you could teach women how to get through it too. And I'm like, I was like, but why me? I didn't know. I didn't ask why me. I didn't. I was like, I think you're right. Because every 7 years, there's like some muck I've got to get through, whether it's the divorce or Hashimoto's or something crazy. But I'm like, yeah, okay. Well, now I can handle anything because I know I'll be able to get through it.
Yeah, and I built my life story on that. I'm like, I don't want everything that I've been going through to be for nothing because that will suck.
Yeah.
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 So, but it was other people saying like, you're really good at this. I was really good at being able to identify other people's superpowers. But I didn't call it that, nor did I know that. I was just like, oh, you'd be really good at this just by their energy, their body language, their words, their tonality.
Yeah.
And I was pretty always spot on. But I didn't think twice about it. I was just like, well, we're just having a conversation.
Right.
Yeah.
But it was other people telling me, you changed my life by what you shared with me. I was like, oh, cool. Okay.
So let's play a game.
Yeah.
All right. You clearly, how long have you known Clara? Like, I can't remember. You just met.
We met through a mutual connection. So
Yeah,
we have
okay.
never met in person, but we've just talked a few times over the past month and a half.
Okay, so just giving our looks and giving just a little bit about what you know about each of us and a little bit about time.
Yeah.
What would you say our superpowers are?
Yours is your energy.
Yeah.
And that's something as women we don't always tap into. I need to be reserved because I don't want to make others uncomfortable.
Yes, you're so reserved. Yeah.
But your energy is also is your voice.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you claim your space. And that needs to be heard. And you're like, some people need that shout, that invasion of their space to receive the message. And I feel that's, you probably have a lot of other superpowers.
Sure.
But no, that's
it's
spot
funny,
on.
You are spot on because everyone tells me the energy shifts when I speak, right? When they're like, whoa, I think you just lifted everyone energy level. And I'm like, that's not even what I'm talking about today, Dave.
Yes.
Like, I'm talking about this.
I want to talk about this message.
Yes, but it's like, yeah, and I'm not even like ADD, you know, I'm
Yeah.
like, good Lord, if I was, but I've always had this sense of look at me, you know, and in one episode we talked about what do you want to do when you grow up if you weren't coaching, and I said, you know, I want to be an actress, like, wow, look at me, play big.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say you are spot on with the energy. Yeah.
Definitely.
Cool.
Yeah, and yours is definitely, yours is energy, but yours is connection.
Okay.
Like, I'm not saying yours isn't, your superpower is your voice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yours is the empathy.
Thank you.
Yeah, because I'm like, as I get older, I'm like, I could care less.
Yes.
But
I
you
appreciate
do,
that.
but
because-
you do what you do because of the empathy. You care about like leadership and the way that we probably present ourselves.
Yeah, and connection is very important to me. You know,
Yeah.
making sure that when I'm speaking, I'm on stage, I'm interviewing, I'm writing, I am working on that. So I would agree with that too. So that's awesome.
Cool.
So tell us a little bit on how you help women. You know,
Yes.
what are some of the strategies or tips that you do to help women really identify for themselves and tap into this so they can improve their level of confidence?
Yeah, well, I love it when we're talking about commanding our space. Like you ladies are commanding your space, but I want to talk about commanding our space in the room, no matter what that room is and who is in the room. As women, typically, not us, but women typically, when they go into a room, they look to see where is the furthest seat I can sit at, where I can hide.
Blend in and not stand out. And again, it's that idea of playing small.
Yes, and
They don't all want to sit in the front seat.
I know. I'm like-
I'm that person.
I know, me too.
Front and center. But what I want women to do is be able to command their space and look, where are the decision makers sitting? That's where I want to sit. When I walk into a room, I want to make eye contact and say, hi, good morning. Hi, good afternoon. How's your day going? But make contact. Don't just say, hey, hi, so how's it going? Because my body language now is telling you I'm not comfortable.
Yeah.
I'm not confident, and no one's going to look to me for answers.
Yeah.
Yep. You know, and getting up and again, acknowledging them, shaking their hand, but again, that eye contact of,
Yes.
I see you and I want to make sure you see me and that I am here.
Yeah, and just doing that, people feel heard, seen, and respected.
They do.
They feel validated, and that's what we want. And when it comes to like Clara, you know, what's your input about this? You're going to be like, oh, you know, and you're going to be engaged
Right.
versus me just kind of like glossing over you.
Yeah. I think a big part of it, and I would love to get your input on this, is I think it's that idea of, again, having the confidence of always coming back to worthiness, that I deserve to be here. And I think
Yes.
sometimes we question, like, again, why should I be at this? These are all people who are better producers than me. These are the CEOs. This is the brain trust.
Yes.
And then here am I just sitting at the table. And I think changing that mindset, and it brings to mind a story that I heard one time from Barbara Corcoran, who a lot of people know from Shark Tank.
Yes.
But she has been in the real estate industry for many years. And she worked in Manhattan and did a lot of commercial real estate. And she tells a story where she was going in and giving a presentation for a client that was also interviewing Donald Trump and his associates. And the first instinct was, who am I? You know, I don't have the name like Donald Trump. And then she was like, who am I not to be here? I have every right to be here just as anybody else. And I think that as women, we need to really tap into the fact that we have a right to be at the table too.
Absolutely. So what I have my clients do, because I have them level up, they're crying, they're kicking and screaming, but they trust the process.
Yes.
But it's so outside their comfort zone. So what I have them do is reflect back. What were your past successes? Because we don't think about it. We're always like, the next one, the next thing, the next thing.
We checked off that box. We're done with that. Let's go on to the next one.
We gotta keep it moving. We can't slow down. We can't stop. So I have them take pause and literally list down, what did you do the last 6 months, the last year? Because 6 months is easy. Then the last year, then the last 3 years, the last 5 years. But then when they can see their own resume, then they're like, oh,
You know what? I am a badass.
I do deserve to be in the room.
It's so interesting you say that because, I noticed for me is, I don't always highlight, best-selling author, this or that. But then when I'm on a speaking gig and they read my bio, I'm like, damn, I have done a lot of stuff. And I think that's a really great exercise that all of us should be doing, even on a weekly basis. What were some of the things that I succeeded at last week? Again, looking at those
make
wins
it easy.
and start to be like, so rather than thinking, oh, I didn't get anything done last week, it's like, no, let's look at what we really did accomplish.
And this is more than, you guys, this is more than a gratitude journal.
Yes.
Okay, because like I fall in line with everyone else where I'm like, oh, cute journal, TJ Maxx, I'm getting it. And then you take it home, you put it on your nightstand, and then like it goes for a couple of days. You're like, I'm grateful for this, I'm grateful for this, I'm great. And then like a week later, it's tucked in the third drawer, and it's now another book.
It became another thing to do.
It's a task, yeah. So I think you have to, when developing like a gratitude practice, because that has been a huge key, I could probably say that's probably a huge key for all of our success. I mean, you make your clients literally look back at their track record of awesomeness so that they can start to see their potential, because we forget that. But I had to like create this gratitude practice that was actually doable for me, and then tap into the feelings of it. So I call it, I have a whiteboard, and I call it my hell yes wins. And you can call it whatever you want, right? I start every coaching call.
I love that you say that, because I'm like, you can't work with me unless you're a hell yes.
Yeah, you gotta be a hell yes.
Like,
What? Yeah.
whoa.
Yeah, and you gotta be a 10, like on the scale.
It's a hell yes or a hell no. There's no in between.
Right.
And they're like,
yeah, like I don't want the
I have to commit.
wishy-washy.
I'm like, commit to one or the other.
Yeah, I don't care either way. And on my sales, I'm like, at the end, you're either gonna say yes or you're gonna say no. Either way, I support you.
Yes.
Yeah, because you have to believe it. With weight loss, you got to believe that you're worthy of that change, that you're capable of it. But this hell yes wins board, and on all of my group calls, we call them brag sessions, and it's interesting to see the new clients come in and they're like, well, I woke up today, and I'm like, that is an amazing brag. Why are you ashamed of that, right? Because we don't know what you went through last night. Like, who knows?
Yeah.
But the hell yes wins is anything that makes me smile. It could be a 5K client. It could be the fact that I didn't spill coffee on my shirt this morning getting the kids out the door. I'm like, hell yes, Karissa, that's awesome. It could be an email. It could be a card that I got from Claire that's like, congrats, right? Like, I'm like, that made me smile today. And then every day, at the end of the day, it's like my 4 o'clock ritual. So now I take it to that next level, right? But it started with just tracking it. Easy way to track, like bullet point it. I don't need to know why, at first, because that was another task and I didn't have the energy for it. But then it came, okay, well, how can I feel into this, and and I know part of gratitude is sharing that and being proud to share whatever you're excited about.
Yes.
So at dinner time, we all sit down, and like, it's very similar. There's now 3 at a table, and my daughter, we've been doing it for 5 years, so she's like, Mom, what was your hell yes win? And like, because she's excited to get to hers. Yeah. And so I say it. And I'll say, I'm like, oh my God, my client lost another 5 pounds today or something like that. And I was like, but it made me feel, right? Like that I'm showing up and that she's showing up and blah, blah, blah. Then my husband goes and she's like, okay, now it's my turn. And we just let her go. We're like, okay, we're done eating now. It's time to go. But you have to celebrate the hell yes.
And we don't celebrate enough.
And I'm guilty of that. When I became an Amazon best-selling book author, I didn't tell anybody for months because it was the next thing.
Yeah.
People literally would stop me and say, how come you don't tell people? I'm like, I literally forget. Because I didn't celebrate it.
Right.
Yeah.
And I didn't anchor it. I didn't anchor it by that celebration. So I have to practice what I preach. So, but I love that I have a community that reminds me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I tell my clients, like, what are you going to do to celebrate? And how does it make you feel? Just like what you said.
Yes.
But I'm always like, oh, off to the next thing.
Yes.
So I have to remember to slow down and celebrate and acknowledge Because then I'm like, oh yeah, I do belong in the room.
Absolutely. Exactly. So tell us a little bit about knowing our authenticity and tapping into our authentic self and how that helps us build confidence and success.
Yeah, so I'm going to do twofold. Let's talk about like that corporate woman or that woman who's in a leadership role, whatever she's doing. She could be a lawyer, she could be a doctor, she could be a realtor, she could be in the corporate world. And tapping into that confidence first, what are my past successes? I deserve to be here, and then how am I showing up? It's one thing to be in a room. What if ladies were slouching? What if I was slouching and I was like this? Like, what communication am I giving you?
Right.
And how do we own the room? So a great thing to do is to think about, why am I here, or why? And you were talking a lot about like your story and 15 years old and what you do today. It's your why. I didn't go through all that for nothing. I didn't every 7 years go through something new for nothing. And it's about, how do I command the space that I'm in, but how do I tap into that confidence? And I love like you and I, like we have this synergy where I'm like, we're high performing women. We don't have time to add another thing to our list, but I can bulletize.
I don't want to write the paragraph.
I
just
can
want to bullet it.
bulletize, and then that shows that taps me into my confidence. So my confidence is coming from what are my successes? What am I grateful for? I say them in my head. I don't have time to write it. So I trained my brain as soon as I wake up. Oh, I'm so grateful I get to hear the birds.
Yes. Yeah.
And I'm always grateful for my bed and my pillow.
Yes.
I'm grateful for the opportunity for whatever that day lays ahead of me. But that taps into my confidence. So it's organic. It's not manufactured.
Yeah. Because you can do wins, right? You can have a best-selling book, and that does give you confidence. But if you don't seal it in,
I don't anchor it like what I did not do, because I was like, oh, I got the next thing to do. I cheat myself. And then I still go into rooms, and that's why I don't say it, because I'm like, ooh, I'm still not worthy.
And that worthiness issue, would you agree, it does come from a childhood issue?
Well, totally. I thought I didn't have skills or talents.
Yeah, right, because someone said something, and it's not that there was a bad, it was not intentional most likely, but what we say to our kids is going to develop who they are as adults, right? So we have to be careful with what we say, that the money doesn't grow on trees. You got to hustle hard. You got to grind it out. Work it out is, oh, it hurts so bad. Like all this stuff is it's creating who, so it's like, be careful what you say to your kids.
Oh, absolutely. Because we're developed, right, from 0 to 7 years old. Our habits and our mindsets. So I'm like, do you want your adult lifestyle to be dependent on your 7-year-old mindset?
Exactly.
We gotta upgrade it.
But I also think, listening and observing our kids, because, once something is said, it's said, but then how are they responding to it? So for me, I know my big thing was I had to create something so I would be seen, because I didn't feel I was seen. And, that's been a pattern in my life, is I feel invisible sometimes, which plays into my worthiness and my confidence. So I think, again, if you see your children or even your friends or your spouse or whoever, holding back, if you see them not celebrating a win, encourage them and be like, that was really great. If they're sitting there, and I know people where I'm like, what are you grateful for? What is your hell yes moment? And they're like, I don't know.
Because they don't even think that way.
They don't even think that way.
They're thinking survival. I just got through the day. I'm just getting through. I can't think about that next thing. So that's a lot of mindset. But back to your question. So the entrepreneur and confidence goes back to her why. What's my vision? What's my mission behind my vision? And then what's my why? What gets me up in the morning? What gets me up every morning saying hell yes to the day?
Absolutely.
I am showing up. I am bringing my A game. I may not have slept a whole lot, but my mindset's saying I'm still full of energy, and our body doesn't know any different. So it says, okay,
let's go.
Yeah, let's go. We're doing this.
Yeah.
And it does.
Absolutely.
And when you have, Krista, like when you know your purpose, you know your why, you have that sense. You guys, I walk into a room and people will turn before they even know that I'm the one.
Because they feel that energy.
That energy is like, who's here? And then they look, I'm like, hey, that's me, right?
It's like you bring your own theme song with you that
like
starts
they
playing.
can hear the Rocky and they're like, and it's like, hey, like they could probably feel me when I pull up in the parking lot. Like energy is energy.
Well,
and
you're also probably vibrating at this high
Yeah.
frequency.
And people are like, oh, what is this?
Yeah, and I get that too. Oh my gosh. So when I learned to tap into a higher frequency, I don't want to say I learned, but I did. All my electronics stopped working. So
Oh my gosh, that's insane.
You short-circuited the house.
I did. My car wouldn't start. The microwave wouldn't work. The door handle in the microwave broke. My TV wouldn't work. Anything that had to do, my phone went on the blitz all at the same time. I was like, how do I calm this down?
Yeah.
To
Oh my
add one
gosh.
thing to confidence, it's like anything that we want to do, it's going to be hard at first.
And
so
scary.
confidence is built by taking 1% action. Wouldn't you agree? Like, okay, I'm going to go into the board meeting today, and today I'm going to sit right here. I don't have to
and
be
you
one
don't
seat
say
up.
anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like one more row at church that gets you closer
Or
to
it could be, I'm going to, get one person to give me their contact information. And again, it's those little steps. So.
Yeah, baby
Or
steps
not even
equals
that, because that's like 3 steps. So the first step is I'm going to talk to someone and say hello.
Yeah.
Or give the eye contact. Just that. Yeah. So.
And that breeds confidence.
I
Well,
know.
Renee, oh my gosh, we have a gift for you.
Yes.
This is how Claire and I met by collaborating, and now I feel
Yes.
that you're a part of the Living Real
Yes, I
collaboration.
know.
So here's
Thank
our
you.
gift. And yes. And just with the 1 minute we have left, really, one biggest tip or a piece of advice for the woman listening today.
Know your body language, know your tonality. It's one thing to say, I'm confident, and it's another to say, I'm confident. You want to own the room. You want to step into self-confidence. You want to tap into your superpower. Be mindful of your body language and your tonality.
Love it.
Love it.
Beautiful. Oh, well, you guys, it has been such a fantastic show. We could I actually think we're going to bring back Renee because she's just too much.
Exactly.
We've got to bring her back. But you guys, thank you so much for joining today for another powerful episode. We appreciate you watching, and we are looking forward to the next time with you guys. So until then, I'm Karissa Adkins.
I'm Clara Capano.
And you guys keep living real.